You know, the death of a young person is always especially tragic. And I think part of what makes it so tragic is the sense that this is something that should not have happened, that this is something that happened far too soon, and that there was a real sense of, I mean, anytime there's death, there's loss, but there's a loss that really seems much more like a theft, like something was taken from people.
I put the very first crayon in her hands. She was 9 months old, and Dan's like, "What are you doing?" I put the paper up, and she moved her hand. She was like 9 months old on the paper, and it was her first scribble. She was sitting in her little, those little seats that you put on tables, and she couldn't even talk, or she was babbling or whatever. About 4 years old, and she starts chanting, "I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can," just like from the book, the little engine that could. But that's what Alissa was like. She was always, even as a 4-year-old child, she was always trying to encourage others and be that person to help others.
I met Alissa, I was 16, she was 15, and I saw her in the hallway and she was really upset. She was fighting with her boyfriend, and I asked her, like, do you want to go to the cafeteria? Do you want to chill out? And she was like, do you want to go back to like the common room and you want to go cut his balls off? She was like, come on, let's go cut his balls off. So that's how my friendship with Alissa began. And after that, we became best friends.
I couldn't even imagine how many friends she had. Like, she knew every single person possible. Like, I would even ask her if I knew certain people, and she would let me know. It was pretty crazy.
She did not give a single care about whether someone thought what she liked was dumb. This was a 16-year-old girl who went trick-or-treating as Yo Gabba Gabba, like, every single year. She did not care. If she was with it, she was down for it. And, like, that was really clear. I was early in my transition, and I didn't pass, and it did not matter to Alissa or Katie at all. That was solidifying in my identity now.
With all of that wonderfulness, though, a lot of it I felt was built on some insecurities. She did get a little bullied in school. She did not understand her own talent, and was a little bit afraid of it. I think there was this underlying fear of a lot of the things that made her grow through quite a lot of it. But she was more than willing to stand up for herself, as well as others.
Find my way. I can go the distance. I'll be there someday.
When she was behind a camera, she totally changed. There was this focus and eyes that, like, you saw that she was doing exactly what she was going to do, and her brain actually changed.
We had a photo shoot, and it was February. It was freezing cold. Looking like a zombie. I'm sure people driving by were like, what the hell is going on?
So I get this call at like 10 o'clock at night after the photo shoot from my daughter, while she's still in this makeup, going, battery's dead. Help, come back us up. And I had to drive over into the cemetery, creepy cemetery, to get this stuff because the car died. So, but I mean, because that shoot, which was only supposed to take about a half an hour, took them about 3 hours because of the makeup, because of trying to get the lighting right, because of trying to figure out the different ways to do it, because she just did that. She didn't think she was good enough for Pratt. And so she didn't submit it initially to Pratt. And then when she got all the offers, towards the end of March, just before you're supposed to make the decision, she said, I don't really want to go away. So she was thinking of just going to WCC for a year while she figured things out. And I said, no, you're too good for that. And I said, well, why don't we call Pratt Upstate and see if they'll just take your admission in Brooklyn. And Pratt Upstate said, no, we can't do it that way. We have separate admissions. We called Brooklyn, and Brooklyn said, we have filled our freshman class, but send her portfolio. We sent her portfolio on a Tuesday and got the phone call on Wednesday saying we want her in our freshman class.
For what? Because Taylor's brain needs to be realigned because he's so dumb.
She had texted me saying she got a bottle of wine and wanted to listen to Mayday Parade and get sad and drunk. And that was kind of par for the course of what we were doing at the time, you know? We would just get sad and drunk. We were kids. Yeah, no, I had no idea what her night had in store for her.
I know on Facebook she posted drinking vodka alone, listening to Mayday Parade.
She actually was bored enough that she decided to go into my liquor cabinet and replaced about half a bottle of vodka with water.
Her ex-boyfriend invited her to the Cortland Town Center where everyone would hang out.
The person that was going to give her a ride, we would not have let her get in a car.
Her current boyfriend at the time was there, and he was with another girl.
She then gets as upset as she did,
Confronted him.
threatens to kill herself.
Him and the girl that he was with told Alissa to go kill herself. So she started walking up the street, and our friend's girlfriend at the time saw her and picked her up on the side of the road and drove her back to the house.
And goes home and hangs herself in the garage.
I think she must have just been so angry, because to do that you have to be like so angry and so hurt.
But nobody was there. She was all alone that night.
Dan, her dad, asked if I could go check on her because she wasn't answering the phone. So I drove over and I pulled in the driveway, and the garage was open, and the garage is never open. So as I walked closer, I was like, what? And I walked closer, and there she was. I screamed. I ran to the side of the house, and I called 911. And then Janice came home, her mom. And it was probably the most heartbreaking thing I've ever seen. Her mom was just screaming, tried to get her down. But what do you do in that situation? She just lost her only daughter, her only child.
So you go through it. You go through the motions. You go through, you know, everything you need to go through. But you get to see a couple of things that were really important as well. And the first one was how many people were there for her. She thought that nobody loved her besides her closest friends and her family. There were hundreds of kids I had never seen before in my life walking through that door that she had touched in some way or another.
People were affected by her death. A lot of kids were. I think a lot of adults were. I think a lot of people continue to be affected. This kind of thing doesn't go away. Kind of lingers.
I lost about 5 years of my life, time-wise, just trying to understand and grieve. And I can't quite say that I've fully done it.
Quite often, youngsters or even adults who are thinking about suicide, suicide is really, in their mind, a way of solving a problem. Either they're confronted with pain that they don't think they can tolerate, so suicide ends up being a way out of that pain, or also for adolescents. I think they see it sometimes as almost like a giant Control-Alt-Delete of almost like a way of restarting. I don't know that people who actually attempt suicide actually really fully conceptualize that it's permanent.
First place to do if you really want to learn anything about this is go to the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. And with them, I've actually worked with them a little bit, but there's a few things. As the person in the situation, always understand you really aren't alone. You think you're alone, you think there's no hope, and it's just not true. This is a person who knew that her parents loved her, but for some reason thought that night, that moment, nobody loved her, nobody cared. So that's never true, ever. You're never alone in this world. It doesn't go away, and it doesn't really get better. It just changes. And you find ways to keep busy so you don't think about it. I couldn't do something that took focus inside a house, staring at a computer or in a meeting. I needed to be active, so I went and did that. And that actually led to me now assistant coaching at Lakeland for 6 years. Being connected, and I never would have done that. I would have just said, yeah, we're done here. I'll just keep doing whatever I want to do. And by now, she would have been out of school, and we probably would have, sold our old house, which we still haven't sold, and moved, somewhere else and been gone. Instead, we're still here. And part of that rooting is because she's still here.
The memorial fund was set up by her father in the wake of her passing. It was, it's a scholarship fund that we put out only to seniors and seniors in the wasted program. And they write up a description of kind of what they've had to struggle with to overcome their own challenges with emotional difficulties or mental illness. And then they'll generally submit that to Mr. Kelly. He will read through those responses and then get back to us to let us know who he sees as, I guess, kind of being in the spirit of Alissa.
For most people, I hope they start to really understand who Alissa was, and that this was not her defining moment. Her defining moment is her friends and how far they've gone, and part of it because of her. Her defining moment is how she treated everybody around her with respect and love and stood up for them more than she stood up for herself.